Hello folks, I'm here today with the all-new battery electric version of the CITROEN C5 Aircross called the CITROEN eC5 Aircross. Could you believe? This comes with two different battery sizes. You've got a 73 kilowatt hour standard range, which can give you 322 miles WLTP. That's got a maximum rate of charge of 160 kilowatts on a DC charger, which should get you 20 to 80% in about half an hour. There's also a bigger battery, gives you just over 420 miles of range. That's a 97 kilowatt hour battery. Again, that's charging at 160 kilowatts. Pricing on these is very, very keen. There are just three trim levels. So we've got U spec, which gives you 18-inch alloys, comfort seats, adaptive cruise, keyless entry, keyless start. Really, that entry level looks like probably a mid-range in the previous Aircross. So they've really lifted everything a bit. The second range is called Plus. You've got 19-inch alloys, privacy glass, part leather interior, 180-degree camera, and then finally you get Max. And it's Max that you need if you want a heat pump. It's the only trim level that comes with a heat pump. Now, they start for the smaller battery in entry-level U trim. They start at £32,500 for the full battery EV. If you go up to Max, you're looking at 37,845, and if you want the larger battery, you're just over 38 grand. To give you an idea of how the hybrids compete, you're looking at 37,775 for the same thing with the hybrid 145. So not the plug-in hybrid, the standard hybrid. So we're only priced really sort of a couple of grand, 2.5 grand over the standard hybrid version of the car. So it's not quite price parity, but it's pretty blooming good. Of course, if you want to check out the leasing prices on these, there's a link to leasing.com in the video description and a QR code popping up on the screen that will show you that on this car right now. Now, every version of the car also has an 8-year service and warranty package available, which sort of does exactly what it says on the tin. The big news with this really is that the design is quite a bit more dynamic. The last version of the car was not a terrible looking thing, but it didn't exactly stand out. This just feels a bit younger, a bit more modern. But a lot of the design choices have actually been taken to improve the efficiency of the car. So you will see a long line across the side of the car. They've said that alone, that line in the side, adds 15 miles of range. So that aerodynamic performance has played a big part in the overall design. They've also got things like matrix LED headlights for the first time and some pretty natty looking rear lights. All in all, I don't think it's a bad looking car at all. Boot space on the C5 Aircross has always been a bit of a winner, and that continues here. We've got 651 litres with the seats up, nearly 2,000 litres with the back row of seats down. This is a completely flat load floor at the moment, but you can pick this up, you can adjust the height of the floor, and there's a ton of space underneath as well, more than enough room for your charging cables. On that front though, this being a full EV, it is a shame that it doesn't have a frunk. That always seems like a bit of a missed opportunity for me, but in this case, you've still got this huge rear space. That boot size, by the way, is the same in the hybrid and the plug-in hybrid. You're not losing anything because this car's a full EV, and that's a bit of a win. Okay folks, so into the front cabin, and this feels like a huge upgrade from the outgoing C5 Aircross. We've got this nice, soft, squishy, it's called sofa fabric. We've got that on the main part of the dash and in the door cards here, and interestingly, sort of showing off their eco credentials, if you like, 20% of the door bins are made from crushed grapevine stems, which all sounds very eco-friendly, doesn't it? We've got a nice, slightly squared off steering wheel. Lots of manufacturers now are doing the squared off steering wheels, and everyone thought Austin were crazy with the Allegro, didn't they? There's a really nice 10-inch colour driver information display, which I'll tell you what, that puts the stuff we're seeing in some of the Chinese cars to shame. That really looks gorgeous. Nice graphics on it as well. And then you've got this big waterfall central infotainment display, the biggest one in Citroen, possibly in Stellantis, I'm not sure. We've got Apple CarPlay, we've got Android Auto, all that kind of good stuff. You've also got their own sat-nav, DAB radio, your aircon controls are here primarily, but there are also some physical shortcut buttons. And then we've got a dial to control the volume of the stereo and a button to switch it on and off, your little gear selector, a drive mode switch and your electric parking brake. Only one cup holder here and a wireless charging pad, but we have a further 2 cup holders under here. In fact, this one might not be a permanent cup holder, it might be like a key or coin holder, but it does fit a cup, I can tell you. And we've got 2 USB-Cs under here and a wee bit more storage, and also quite a good size central cubby there. So far, so good then. I think they've taken what was possibly a bit too drab a design, and they've just breathed on it in the right areas. And this really gives you a feel of, I don't know, that perceived quality thing that people often talk about. It gives you much more of a feeling of quality than you had in the outgoing C5 Aircross. And I can say that with confidence because I used to have a C5 Aircross, and one area where it was let down a bit was a bit of a drab and cheap feeling interior, and none of this feels cheap. Some of this stuff, it's not piano black, but it's not far off. I prefer that to be something else because I completely despise piano black. I don't think it ages well. I don't think it ever looks good. But this material, sort of akin to what you'll see in a modern Mini, is an absolute win. I love that. It's also much tech heavier in here. So depending on your trim level, you'll get things like semi-autonomous driver assists. You've got loads of ADAS features available. Things like 180 reversing cameras, 360 cameras, all kinds of stuff that may make life a bit easier for you. And one of the things I really like on this car that's missing from a lot of EVs is on the home screen, you've actually got a battery precondition button. So you can just switch it on there. So that means you don't necessarily have to plumb your charging location into your sat nav. You can just think, well, I'm going to be charging in half an hour or something. I shall precondition the battery. Piece of cake. A lot of thought's gone into this, and I think it's paid off. So into the back, and I'm just going to start with what I think is quite a big negative. For me, one of the great USPs of the C5 Aircross is that it had 3 separate seats across the back. And that meant for people with more than 2 children, or perhaps with 2 children in car seats and an adult, they could accommodate everyone with a reasonable amount of comfort. Now, Citroen says that their research shows that most people only ever use the outer seats and didn't use the middle ones, so they wanted to give those outer seat passengers a bit more room. So now it is a standard bench affair instead of having those 3 separate seats. We've got ISOFIX points on this one and this one, but alas, we don't have them in the middle anymore. What we do have is super comfortable seats. We've also got really comfortable seats in the front. And Citroen have made quite a bit of noise about these seats. And they've actually got memory foam in them to give you an extra layer of comfort. And alongside the suspension in this car, which we'll talk about more in the drive segment, it is very comfortable in the back here. We've also got a big, very spongy padded armrest with a couple of cup holders. And down here, we've got 2 USB-Cs and a 12-volt socket. Depending on your trim level, you may get a big glass roof as well. We don't have it in this one. And you've got some fairly interesting pockets in the back here. Legroom's very good. As you can see, the back of the seat is kind of sculpted to accommodate your knees, and headroom is pretty magnificent. You'd be all right in here at about 6'4" probably, which I am not. You've also got some nice headrests. You can recline the back seat here, which you can't in every car, so your rear seat passengers can enjoy the top level of comfort while you're travelling. It also feels incredibly spacious. The outgoing C5 Aircross as well, they use the space very, very well, because it really is only a mid-size SUV, but it feels huge inside. Clever. So on to the test drive, and the first thing to note is the suspension. Now, Citroen says that this is all quite clever stuff. I can't quite remember the series of words that they wrapped around it. But basically you've got a hydraulic suspension system with a cushion, effectively. So it does give you that very floaty feeling. We are on a really choppy bit of road at the moment, and whilst it's bouncing me around a little bit, it's all quite comfortable, it's all quite cosseting. You know, it's not going to knock the fillings out of my teeth. Now, obviously, the flip side of that very comfortable, quite floaty, a little bit boaty suspension is that you don't get loads of engagement in the corners, and it doesn't have the steering feel that you're going to get in a BMW Z4, nor would you expect it. And let's remember that. I think that's something that's sometimes missing from car reviews, is that this car's designed to perform certain tasks. For me, it feels like they've sat down and said, what does a family want? A family that's possibly going to have holidays in their own country. They're going to be doing long road trips in it. How do we stop the kids from knocking 10 bells into each other? Well, we make them comfortable. We give them a decent amount of connectivity, and we give them a nice feeling of space. And I think this ticks all those boxes really well. And for those family holidays, you can not only accommodate, I mean, you could take 5 adults in this car without a problem, but certainly young or older children are going to be perfectly comfortable and happy in the back. But you're also going to have plenty of room for all their gear. You know, that boot is huge and practical and lovely. In practice, this infotainment system, the aircon controls and things, they work perfectly well. I mean, in an ideal world, you'd have a few more physical buttons, but the fact that the aircon controls are screen-based but kind of stay put means it's really quite usable, and I can't grumble about it as much as I normally would with screen-based aircon controls. And once again, that driver information display is one of the best I've seen. It's so clear, the graphics look great on it. I wish more manufacturers would spend time on those little things, because those little things make a big difference to, I said it before, but that perceived quality. They make the car feel a bit more special, and probably the only investment in them is a bit of time. I don't know. I get quite emotional about these sort of things, and not everyone does. But it just irks me sometimes when simple things are not done that would make such a big difference to the user. And this car feels like a quantum leap from the one that came before it. And don't forget, I had the one that came before it, and I had that because it was big and practical and spacious and comfortable. And this thing does all of those things still, but it just feels like it's moved on and it's brought it into 2025 at last, some would say. So let me just try and summarise some of that waffle into something coherent for you. We're in a car that's supremely comfortable and would be fantastic for long journeys. You're not going to come out of this thing with a lot of driver fatigue. You're in something that's supremely practical. It's got loads of space. It's got a massive boot. It is a shame that they got rid of the 3 independent rear seats, because that was a USP for the C5 Aircross, and they've now said goodbye to it, which I think is a shame. But the rear legroom and headroom are incredibly good. The cabin has all been really well considered. You know, there are certain parts of design in here that work really well. And even though we've got screen-based controls for things like your aircon, they're in the right place and they work well, and we don't have to worry about them. We don't have to get frustrated by them. Even the ADAS systems, which I've left on throughout this video, are not particularly obtrusive. They warn you when you need to be warned, but they don't smack you around the face with a wet fish. That means you leave them on. That means they're far more effective than annoying ones that you turn off. It's got a lot going for it. It's pretty well priced. It's very well spec'd. I think they've done a very good job with this. I have only spent a limited amount of time with it, but in that limited amount of time, it's impressed me. It's impressed me greatly, actually. What do you think, folks? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. It would have been nice to see a heat pump available throughout the range, but otherwise, you know, it's putting some impressive numbers down. It's practical, it's supremely comfortable, it's got loads of space. Yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Of course, if you want to get the leasing price for this, you want to see the current leasing prices, click that link in the video description that will give you all the real-time pricing from leasing.com. Thanks ever so much for watching the video. Please consider subscribing to the channel if you've enjoyed it, and I'll see you on the next one. Huge thanks to all my channel members for your continued support. I really do appreciate it.